Okay, e4. What opening? What's it gonna be? We got our Khan, bishop to f5. Honestly, we can play knight g3, but I'm gonna stick with our knight f2 move. Just like it. It's the essence of the position. Yeah, I'll hold off on g4. G4 looks tempting, but I'll hold off on it. Usually the idea is actually knight h4. Goes here. That's probably a good sign for us, because we really like the knight on d3 is basically perfect in this opening. Most people just are not used to a knight on f2, and so they're not used to a knight on d3. Like, what happens here is my pieces go to very unorthodox squares. And people just don't know how to handle it that well. We can take, but I think that actually is what he wants. I'm just going to castle. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, we just want to make sure to contain moves like c5 and e5. And if we're able to do that, then my opponent's not going to have any play. Knight d5 looks very tempting. Wait, it goes knight e4. Interesting. Okay, I'm just gonna go here, I think. Okay, let's move this bishop. Go to c1 or g1. G1 is nicer because it kind of helps prevent c5, but this one might be nicer just for the future of the position. So I am going to go this way. Why move the king? Well, I wanted to have the g1 square available in case knight g4 happened. But I also know that if black gets any play, it's going to be c5, and so this diagonal is going to open. So I'm kind of playing against that a little bit. Let's go g4. His knights are really strange here. If he takes, we win the knight, and I'm threatening g5 to win the knight. I just think his pieces are placed a little bit funny, so... because you can't really like treat this like an outpost without a pawn supporting it. And I want to do it quickly before he gets, for example, c5. But yeah, queen g2, g5. Goes here. I don't think it really does anything to prevent the issue. Like, he's losing his piece. The knights don't operate very well together here. This knight has been the unsung hero of the game. It's just been covering so many key squares, including even the f2 square in this position. But it's just a really strong piece. Yeah, and our bishop is going to destroy him here. We can take this as well, but with knight g4. Yeah, obviously we could win the queen there. I think this is even more powerful. Pretty nice attack there, but I always like this. It's really, really strong. Very nice position to play. Knight on d3 behind this pawn structure I always really like, because the way to kind of play the position with black against this pawn structure is usually to play e5 or c5, and the knight directly prevents those things. Yeah, so this was a bit too much. g4 and g5 I think is a very correct and very active idea here. But as I said, you just can't treat this like some unassailable outpost when you don't have a pawn defending. If you had a pawn on f5, different story, but these knights don't work that well together. They basically both end up frozen. Okay, seeing a little bit more c4. I usually just go for this like bishop c5 setup, a6, and tuck it away. A lot of people play knight e2 and d4, and first thing that I like to do is just bring the bishop back. Goes for h3, definitely playing against h5, h4. Let's do it anyway. So the nice thing is if he goes there, we can play f5, and I mean, he's castled. If he wasn't castled, I wouldn't feel so good doing this, but takes, and then queen d7 after. Like, I'm just kind of all over the king side right away. f3. So one look at that move, and I think you'll know that's not really what white wants to be doing. That's for sure. Let's just develop. d4. Okay, such a weird game so far. I'll play the strange looking f4. Looks like it might mix things up a bit for him. Wow, okay, played a good move, good response. Thought he would get a bit more confused there. Let's take this. Don't think I can afford to really let knight f4 happen, so. Still, a really bad bishop on g2 here. Some good pressure. Here, we'll get that response. Trying to think what his next move wants to be. I'm actually gonna play a strange move. I'm either gonna play this or this. I want to stop knight d5. Looks like he might want to do it. This is nice because it's kind of with tempo. Get castled, knight to g5 perhaps. Knight f7 also guards this pawn. And it looks like he's in a pretty permanent pin. Tough to get out of. Knight c6 may have been a bit better because there are some big threats with knight b4. He goes knight there. I feel like it's not a great move. Remember, he still can't take. f3 looks like a super good move. Also, taking and castling will win material now. Yeah, I mean, this bishop is just causing him such a headache. Just gonna go here, and I think I'm gonna take this. If he takes and I castle, he can save himself by just moving the king. If I took, bishop takes, the king always had e2. I didn't see a way I could win material there, so we're just going here. The bishop has to do something, and we're gonna grab that pawn. He goes here. I don't think it's gonna stop me from doing this. Guard that. I want to play c6 to kick the knight out. Knight e7. If we can stop knight e7, like, I'll be pretty happy. Okay, definitely throw a check in because the king's tied to that bishop. Okay, let's take. Go there. Let's push. Taking bishop f3 will be honestly pretty tough to stop. I would say some sort of check would be the best attempt here. We have a queen waiting to be made here. Basically put him in stalemate and just wanted to run the king over and mate him with rook g6. English! Yeah, okay, we didn't really prepare anything too much against it. But you probably noticed every time I face the English, I just go for bishop c5, d6, tuck the bishop, and then h5, h4. Because almost everyone that does it plays it with g3, so almost always play just h5, h4, and it's pretty easy. e4, quickly played. Okay, we do see the Scotch. d5, happy to go back. c4, I'm just going to remove the bishop g5 possibility, and I want to make sure to get this bishop out to either c5 or b4. Will he do this? No, he actually goes right with knight b5. Kind of smart by him. Let's defend. Very important. Bishop here isn't really a great move, but he might do it. Yeah. So, I mean, taking is actually nice for me, but I think I'm going to go here, mainly because I don't really like the... Like, it's just easier to play the position when you have the f4 square available. That's what I think. Okay, so I think we want to go here. He's obviously going to be interested in getting rid of our pieces there. We're going to have to play this move anyway, I think. Just go ahead and take. Castle, knight here. I'll start with knight here just to clamp down on the f4 square a little bit. G3, then we get a nice square for our bishop. And we're just kind of living off this knight defending c7. So he plays a good move. It looks like he wants to go there, but let's castle. And if he wants to force things through, he can, but we'll try to get some counterplay with knight f4. Start by taking this way. We definitely want to eliminate the dark square bishop. That's pretty good for us. Yeah, and let's just play c6. So knight c7 doesn't really bother us at all anymore. We want to save our pawn. And look, if we lose it in the future, that's fine. But I don't want him to have a protected pass pawn. And knight f4 and queen g5 is about to win the game. Don't forget about that. Knight f4 looks like it does nothing, but it's threatening to win the entire game with this move. Because then we're threatening checkmate and we're threatening knight h3, winning the queen. That's a tactic that will always work, no matter how hard you think about it. And it's weird the way it works. You sit there and you're like, no, there's no way I'm dead lost. Like, surely I can defend these two things at once, and you never can. It's the way she goes. Go here, rook takes. Start with this. And then rook g1, we have queen f2, hitting the rook and hitting f3. Pretty good by him to notice that. Good game. He actually played in a pretty nice way, like very direct, like came up with a plan, wanted to push through. But after c6, the thing is knight f4 and queen g5, don't underestimate the counterplay that literally just two pieces can have against the whole king side. The bishop's about to come out, the knight, and this is why I never take on e3. Like, it would have been the best move to take on e3 here, no doubt about it, best move by far. But I really think the ability to play that knight to f4 is so handy, and you always get value out of knight f4. All right, e4. Okay, we've seen this. So against this, I go knight e7 and then knight g6, and on d4, I'll be playing h6 so that we're not running into knight g5. Knight g5 kills us. And we want to take back on e5. Okay, this move tells me that queen to b3 is coming. Now, I'd love to get my bishop developed, but it's just not happening. So I'm going to go ahead and play d6. Pretty sure this move is going to happen. Regardless, let's just get our normal setup here. The nice thing about c3, even though it comes with some other dangerous ideas, is the knight can no longer go there. And the knight coming to d5 is super annoying. Bishop e3. I think bishop e7 is fine here. Notice how I'm keeping my queen safe with this h6 move, otherwise it would be lost. We want a castle, and d5, we're very, very happy to see d5. With b5 here, we might be able to do that. I think we're just going to castle. d5 is great. You've seen me deal with this move before. I always play knight back to b8. Bishop b5. I don't really know what he's up to exactly here. I'm probably just going to slide this knight in. Nice. Knight d2. Yeah, very close to just being able to do this. We need a little bit more preparation, though. Yeah, it's so close. Like, this is just checkmate, but if the opponent's playing well, then they'll take here. So, let's just develop. If White's ready to play that, then I'm ready to be impressed. That's a good, high-quality move. I'm going here because I want to recycle my knight. Okay, knight there. And remember, if the queen ever moves like this, there's always a great tactic to be had, and that is knight takes h3. A very neat idea. Let's go ahead and take this. Bishop takes h3 is available, and the nice thing is bishop e2 could be met by knight h4. I think we do want to play knight h4 here. Just bring our queen back. I think he might play knight h5 here. This would be a decent move. Yeah, I had a feeling he was going to do this. It's still quite unclear. I mean, I'm going to lose my queen as well, right? Oh, wow, that's a crazy resignation. I mean, I agree. Black's better, but that's still a crazy resignation. At least see what I'm up to. Because you just attacked the queen, right? Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. 1650. Bishop f5. Usually, they don't do to this. And I think this is still fine. But I'm going to play knight f3. Okay, queen there. But g3 is kind of what we want to do anyway, I think. What I might do is... So this is an interesting move. We'll hit the bishop. Bishop here, I have that. Very close to winning the bishop here. In a line like that. Takes, queen check, king f8. I have to castle. I lose his pawn. I don't think that's worth it, actually. You'd think it is, but... No. Don't believe so. Let's go here. Probably he's gonna long castle. Yeah. Makes a bit more sense. I'm gonna have to do this. Okay. Unclear to me what's happening. I guess this one. Rook e8, we can try queen d3 maybe. At some point I want to get this a5 move in. If I see h4. I think he has to answer that right away. Probably he's going to play a6. But a5, yeah, I feel like we can really pry the position open. Oh, I like that knight on f2. Isn't it great? A successful Caro-Kann. Okay, got our Pegasus plunge opening. Knight into d5. How's he gonna handle it? He decides to take. Very smart. Not many people take because they assume something's wrong with it, but I don't blame someone for being curious. It's a center pawn, and he can take and literally just go right back, so like, why wouldn't you? Okay, knight there. I think queen e4 looks nice here. Guards everything, and these pawn moves are impossible. Or so I thought. I think he's gonna go here, and so we'll play the very, very annoying bishop e3. Oh, he decides to go there. All right. Maybe he could castle for us. It has to take that, and we are up a piece the entire time. Rook here, we can just castle to safety. Always happy to trade there. So this one, king moves over, he kind of escapes. Let's play this rook e1 move. I think it just sets up a checkmate, basically. Bishop a6 will be an unpleasant thing to deal with. Let's take back. We've still got our back rank covered. Check. I think we'll see the king slide over, but okay. Safety move. h3. Hello, I'm new. Sorry, bud. Sorry, bud. He's new. Well, we got a very successful d4 knight f6. Yeah, we take here. And then takes is just comfortable for us. Comfortable. Maybe not winning, maybe not much better, but very comfortable. More space. And he'll definitely be unfamiliar with the opening. Okay, well, the Scandinavian is not a real opening. It's just the undefeated. It's just a free win. We've refuted the entire Scandinavian. Get it out of here, I'm telling you. It doesn't exist anymore. Never again will I be concerned about the Scandinavian. Just A3 and it's the undefeated. Alright. Here comes the beautiful variation, the Pegasus plunge. Yeah, bishop there makes a lot of sense. This is the point when they play bishop c5, is to try to take advantage of this. Bishop d3 here. I mean, honestly, e5 looks pretty good, but maybe he could respond with h6 or something. Because I can't just go and take here. Yeah, somehow e5 actually feels a little bit wrong here. Okay, now I definitely don't mind playing king f1. Previously I was going to respond with knight there. King f1 looks perfect though. Because there's still issues here. Okay, so now the thing is, there's no pin, so I can just go back to this plan. Honestly, it's a shame that he gets so much material for it, but... Oh, okay. H6? No way. I mean, all the captures work, but this one looks particularly good. Basically, all I need is a piece over here. As soon as it gets there, it'll be GG. This leads to mate. So does this one. I feel like it's all pretty reliable. Let's just take that. Good game. That was our opening, basically working as well as it possibly could. But honestly, a really natural move, bishop c5. But it's the point of the opening is that the most natural move, bishop c5, in my opinion, the most natural, runs into a nice c3 move. And then d4 with tempo, and yeah, just like kind of flows. Yeah, and once bishop a5, king f1 happened, I knew we were good because now there's no pin, so all the threats are happening. Really nice. e4, e5. That's our opening. Bishop c4, knight e7, and knight g6. No, remember when knight g5 is threatened, it doesn't count here because obviously knight g5 there we just play as if it's the normal fried liver, but here we need to play h6. Really crucial to stop that. Remember, we don't really care about this bishop, we just want it outside the pawn chain. And on bishop e3, we do not take it. Don't want that. So here, this is a great example. I just go back. I'm super happy to take this. There's no knight d5, which means I get my setup of queen f6 and knight f4, etc., etc. Okay, knight h2 is actually a little bit of an interesting move. I'm going to play queen h4. If he goes back, we'll go here. I'm not sure, maybe he wanted queen h5, maybe he wanted f4. This move stops both. Okay, I think our opponent might lose a queen here. Oh, does not. Great restraint. After queen f3, b5 would have been the real nasty move to throw in. Yeah, takes to play knight h4. Unfortunately, there's queen g4. It doesn't really work. And if we ever give away these bishops, there is queen g4. I still think this is a useful move. We'll take this way. I like this pawn here. Rook a4 could be an idea. Definitely king h7. I don't really understand that. Guess the queen's going back to e2 pretty much by force. Maybe we can continue to get our pieces in. Here we do have knight c4. Taking looks like the move. I think f3 and queen takes h3 will be difficult to meet. Go queen here, that might make it a little bit easier. Because here we have knight takes f3. I was going to take on h3, which probably would have resulted in the same thing. e5, c4, rook over. Yeah, just stopping that move. And if the... Actually gonna go here. If pawn takes, then I think I can use the A file. This pawn's also defended, which is nice. We should be able to win this bishop now with... Nice. Checkmate in the nick of time. So very important when we're playing our openings here. Italian. Always knight e7. Like, our openings are either queen f6 or knight e7 when it's e4, e5. So it's kind of easy to remember. Now, of course, they can go knight g5 right away. But then it's the same as if we're playing a regular fried liver, which means we don't take back. Terrible move. We should all know this standard trick. But instead we play knight a5, the same way we would if the knight was on f6. The only difference is that in this line, after c6, we can take with this knight, and we hit this knight. I like it a little bit better. We don't have to ruin our pawn structure. Anything past this initial knight move, we probably have to play h6 next. The only time I don't play h6 next is if they don't move the d-pawn. So if they castle, for example, I'll play knight g6 because the knight's covered. There's no knight g5. But my very next, as soon as I see the d-pawn move, immediate h6. The only exception to that is d4, because then there's a threat to my pawn here, and there's knight g5 as a threat. So in this case, I do need to take. And if knight g5 now, I have knight e5. But other than that, in d3, for example, threatening that, h6. Knight here. Okay, there's no bishop covering that square, so I can do this, because that's just a free knight. And then as soon as any move that threatens knight g5, h6. Even if it's d4, because now my knight's on g6, so the pawn's defended. That's really it. Tends to work out pretty well. For 16.99, I can't edge you guys this much. Alright, let's go for hopefully our last game here. Maybe we can draw. Nice 1700 on the dot. e4, e5. Okay, knight c6. Bishop b5, we go with queen f6. Castles. Time for bishop c5. We want knight e7. We want, so threatening that. We definitely need knight e7 here. Okay. Remember, that's not a pin. This is the, okay. Just gonna win a piece here and win the game really easily. Look at that. Even just putting our queen on f6 was like getting our opponent going all crazy. All of a sudden he wanted to play bishop g5 as fast as lightning. He just lost the game. Knight d5. Happy to take. We just have a full extra piece here, so should be pretty routine. e4 is a pretty big threat. Otherwise, just simple development, bring the rook over. Let's just go a5. I know it's hanging, but like, look, he's threatening to trade pieces with me. Don't think I'm that concerned. Go defend this. GG. Well, we don't get as many relope as we do Italians, but I could go for the same knight e7 idea here, but we named this one the Hambleton defense. Unnamed, queen f6, so it's ours. And the thing with this one, though, that's a little bit different is if knight c3, we have to start immediately with bishop d6 and then knight ge7. Bishop d6, a bit of a weird move, but the queen gets out to g6 pretty nicely. Yeah, bishop g5. I see this a lot. People like play this because they're like, oh, I'm attacking the queen. You have to react and move your queen, which wouldn't even be a problem here. But instead, they blunder the classic remove the defender, but also with check. Nice 1700 for us.